Picture this. A coworker spreads a rumor about you in the break room, or they quietly take credit for the report you stayed late to finish, or they forget to loop you into an email that makes you look like you dropped the ball. Maybe they roll their eyes every time you speak up in a meeting, or they go straight to your boss instead of talking to you first, just to make you look like the problem. Sound familiar? If you've got a difficult coworker in your life, whether they're gossiping about you, undermining your work, or pulling any of the other classic moves toxic people love to pull, here's the truth. The second you react, you're doing exactly what they wanted. Today, I'm going to show you how to respond the right way, disarm a difficult person at work, and come out looking like the most professional person in the room. Let's get into it. First, let's just name it. This is genuinely frustrating. Dealing with a difficult coworker who's trying to make you look bad, steal your work, or stir up drama is an exhausting waste of energy you didn't sign up for. Nobody gets into a job thinking, I can't wait to spend half my mental energy managing someone else's insecurity. So if you're feeling annoyed or even a little heated, that's completely valid. Before we go further, if this topic is one you deal with regularly, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series on handling workplace conflict. It genuinely helps more people find these strategies. Now, here's something I've noticed time and time again working with driven, high-performing professionals. If you're the kind of person who watches videos like this one, you're probably someone who operates with integrity, treats people fairly, and holds yourself to a high standard. And because of that standard, you naturally expect the people around you to meet it too. You'd never throw a coworker under the bus, so why would they do it to you? But here's the uncomfortable part. Just because they started it doesn't mean you're free to respond however you want. Yes, technically, you could defend yourself loudly, call them out in the meeting, match their energy. But doing that is almost never the smart move, and I want to walk you through exactly why. I want to address something head on, because I know it's coming in the comments. Whenever I talk about staying calm instead of escalating, someone always says some version of, that's terrible advice. You can't just let people walk all over you. I get it, but hear me out. Choosing not to react in the moment is not the same as letting someone walk over you. It's actually the opposite. When you react to a difficult coworker, you are handing them exactly what they wanted from you. It doesn't matter what they did or how justified your anger is. To everyone watching, people already expect bad behavior from someone who behaves badly. Nobody's shocked when the office troublemaker causes trouble. What they don't expect is for you, the reliable one, to lose your composure. So regardless of how deserved your reaction might feel, in the eyes of your manager, your peers, and leadership, it's you who ends up looking unprofessional. And that hit to your reputation is expensive. Fewer stretch assignments, fewer promotions, a lukewarm line in your next performance review, and eventually, a smaller number on your paycheck. None of us want that trade. So let's dig into why we even feel the urge to react in the first place. Usually, it comes down to wanting to save face. They're trying to paint you as incompetent, unreliable, or lesser than. And your instinct is to immediately correct the record. But here's the thing. Most of what a difficult coworker does is a bid for power. They create drama specifically because they're hoping for a reaction from you. And the moment you give them one, two things happen at once. First, you may genuinely damage how you're perceived. Second, and just as important, you've handed over your power to someone who didn't deserve it. Obviously, you're not watching this because you want your difficult coworker to win and your own reputation to take the hit. If that's what you wanted, you wouldn't have clicked play. You're here because you want the correct response, one that keeps you in control, protects your reputation, and might even elevate your professional brand because of how well you handled it. So how do you actually pull that off? It starts with holding your tongue in the moment. It is so much easier to snap back with the truth than it is to stay quiet and let the moment pass. But staying quiet is the far more dignified, far more strategic move. And there are three specific things you can lean on to help you get through that pause. The first is simple. Take a deep breath, in and out. Beyond just giving your brain the oxygen it needs to think clearly, that breath buys you time. When your difficult coworker does the thing that makes your blood boil, your amygdala, the most primitive, reactive part of your brain, lights up. And when your amygdala is active, your prefrontal cortex, the logical, strategic part of your brain, essentially goes offline. That's the worst possible mental state to be in during a tense moment with a coworker. The good news is that the wave of stress chemicals flooding your system typically starts to settle within about 6 seconds. So that single deep breath is quite literally buying you the physiological time you need to shift out of your reactive brain and back into your rational one, where you can actually think strategically instead of emotionally. While you're taking that breath, here are three things worth reminding yourself of because they're easy to forget in the heat of the moment. It also helps to pair that breath with a quick physical reset. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Uncross your arms if they've crossed on their own. Your body sends signals to your brain just as much as your brain sends signals to your body. So a tense, defensive posture actually keeps that stress response alive longer. Softening your body physically helps your mind calm down faster, which means you get back to clear thinking that much quicker. Number 1. People notice both sets of behavior, theirs and yours. Nobody on your team genuinely believes your difficult coworker is a phenomenal collaborator with real leadership potential. People who pay attention already know exactly who that person is, and they hold them to that standard. You, on the other hand, are held to a different, higher standard, and people are watching how you handle this moment just as closely as they've clocked what your coworker did. Number 2. People who are genuinely secure and confident in themselves don't need to sabotage others to feel good. They don't need to steal credit, spread gossip, or throw colleagues under the bus to get ahead. Difficult behavior like that is almost always a symptom of someone's own insecurity, not a reflection of anything you did. Number 3, and maybe the most important. The only thing you actually control in this entire situation is your own response. You don't get to choose who your difficult coworker is or how they behave, but you get full control over who you are in this moment. Whether you walk away having damaged your own reputation and your working relationships, or whether you walk away looking composed, professional, and entirely unbothered, while your coworkers' true colors speak for themselves. Okay, so you understand why not to react, but you still have to do something. You can't just stand there breathing forever. So what does an effective response actually look like? One of the simplest, most powerful tools you have is asking a clarifying question. Something as simple as, "What do you mean by that?" does a lot of quiet work. It calls out their behavior without directly calling out their behavior. It invites them to hear themselves, to examine what they just said or did without you ever raising your voice or making an accusation. Often, that alone is enough to make them backpedal, because now they have to explain themselves. So if a coworker says something like, "Well, I guess someone finally decided to show up on time," instead of firing back, you might simply say, "What do you mean by that?" with a calm, even tone. 9 times out of 10, they'll either backpedal, mumble something vague, or awkwardly try to laugh it off. And either way, you've stayed composed while they've had to answer for their own comment. It's also worth keeping a simple, private record of anything particularly egregious: dates, what was said, who was present. You're not building a case to escalate every little thing, but if a pattern of sabotage or credit stealing continues, having a clear, factual timeline will matter far more than your memory of "it happens all the time." Calm documentation is a quiet form of power. Here's something else worth understanding. If this is a genuinely difficult or toxic coworker, this is not going to be a one-time incident. It's going to happen again. And every time you get pulled into reacting, you're playing their game on their terms. You never want your difficult coworker to be the main character of your career. You are the main character of your own career story. And that means shifting your energy away from playing defense and toward building real, long-term career strategies that make you nearly untouchable. The first of those strategies is building your professional reputation deliberately. Your reputation precedes you into every room you're not in. If you're consistently known as capable, collaborative, and easy to work with, then when someone tries to paint a different picture of you, people simply won't believe it. Your track record does the defending for you. The second strategy is making sure your work is visible. This matters for your career no matter what, but it's especially protective when you're dealing with a coworker who likes to take credit for things they didn't do. If your manager and leadership already know exactly what you're working on and the impact it's having, it becomes nearly impossible for someone else to convincingly claim it as their own. And if they try anyway, it's not you who looks bad, it's them. Because everyone in the room already knows the truth. The third strategy is building a real network of advocates. Difficult coworkers thrive on doing damage when you're not in the room. Gossiping, undermining, quietly taking credit where you can't defend yourself. But if you've built genuine relationships with people who know your work and your character, especially with the people whose opinions matter most for your career, those people will speak up for you when you're not there to speak for yourself. They'll recognize when someone's misrepresenting you, and that network can also help you route around obstacles a difficult coworker tries to put in your way. This doesn't have to be complicated or political. It can be as simple as regularly checking in with a mentor, staying visible with cross-team collaborators, or genuinely supporting other people's work so that support naturally gets returned when you need it. None of these three strategies are quick fixes. They're long-term investments in a career that isn't derailed every time someone decides to have a bad day at your expense. And honestly, they matter whether or not you're dealing with a difficult coworker right now. They're just especially valuable armor when you are. Think of it this way. A difficult coworker is playing a short game, trying to win one moment at your expense. You're playing a much longer game, one built on consistency, visibility, and trust. And that long game wins every single time. One last thing before you go. Responding well also means being ready to navigate an actual conflict conversation if one does happen. The more comfortable you are stepping into a hard conversation calmly and confidently, the better the outcome tends to be, and the better you tend to look throughout the whole process. So if you want to go deeper on exactly how to prepare for and navigate that kind of confrontation, that's a great next video to watch. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. It genuinely helps this content reach other people dealing with the exact same thing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.